It's no secret that starting a business is hard. Even if you have an amazing idea, bringing it to life can feel overwhelming. With HubSpot's new entrepreneurship kit, though, you can go from idea to IPO with the help of a company that knows a thing or two about growing better. The all-inclusive kit gives you step-by-step guidance and frameworks to help you crush every stage of starting a business, with tools tailored to help all along the entrepreneurial journey. It's packed with templates for project management, email, and skill development. Wow, that's a lot of templates. There's also a solopreneur guide. It's got freelance pricing worksheets and lots more you can get up and running immediately. And best of all, it's free. With expert guidance and frameworks from HubSpot, starting a business doesn't have to be so hard. So don't wait to start yours. Go to HubSpot.com/ENT to download the guide right now. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Friday, August 23rd. I'm John Weigell here with Mark Dent, and this is the Hustle Daily Show. Chick-Fil-A made over $21 billion last year, according to QSR magazine, and they're aiming to take that cash and do something that's next level. The first development is to completely overhaul their drive-thru system, starting with a, quote, elevated drive-thru concept in Atlanta, which is understandable. But the next idea is to get a streaming service off the ground. So how can their drive-thrus get any faster, and when will a Chick-fil-A app pop up next to your Netflix? We'll get to that in a bit, but first let's give you the hits and headlines in business and tech. Starting off in Abu Dhabi, Abu Dhabi's smart travel project will make Zayed International Airport the world's first airport to use biometric sensors across all identification checkpoints by 2025. This while the TSA here in the States greatly lags. Next, tourists atop the Great Wall of China can now order about 5 pounds worth of food, drinks, or medical supplies via drone for just 56 cents, thanks to delivery company Meituan's new Beijing service. From there, we go to Walmart. Walmart is now partnering with Burger King to offer new perks to Walmart Plus customers. Members can get a 25% discount on digital Burger King orders and can cash in for one free Whopper every 3 months. A quarterly Whopper. We love it. From there, we can move to Peloton. Peloton will begin charging a one-time $95 activation fee for new subscribers who bought their workout equipment secondhand. This makes me happy that I sold my Peloton over a year ago. But what do you think about this move, Mark?
You know, I think it's kind of lame, obviously, to be charging that on the secondary market, you know, just because a lot of people tend to get rid of Pelotons after they use them for a couple of years. It reeks of the same scheme going on with no more password sharing, no more using your mom's Costco card or whatever to get into Costco. There's just so many ways. And I know it's smart that these companies are trying to crack down, but the thing is that they work. And it wasn't just because of this, John, but today Peloton stock went up about 30%, which is a huge gain for a company whose stock has pretty much only been dealing with bad news since October 2020 or something like that.
For sure. Yeah, they really had a big wave there during the pandemic time period, and now it is pretty down in the dumps. But yeah, good news, I guess, for their stocks. I don't know how related this is, but maybe they picked up a little bit over the past year.
Yeah, I mean, sales have gone up. In the most recent quarter, which ended June 30th, revenue was up to $643 million. Quarterly sales grew, which was the first time that had happened in 2 years. So there you have it.
Wow, good for them. And finally, Dunkin' just announced a pumpkin spice latte canned cocktail with 6% alcohol. Dunkin' launched its spiked coffee and tea line, now sold in 27 states last year, and it is introducing this new PSL flavor. Of course, we reported on this yesterday with Starbucks putting their PSLs out a few days early this year, and Dunkin' seems to be following suit. What do you make of this back and forth pumpkin spice war, Mark?
Yeah, I'm just amazed it took Dunkin' this long to come out with a cocktail to put out a new front sort of in this war with Starbucks. Why doesn't Starbucks just sell their pumpkin spice latte all year round? You know, you lose some of the fall craze for it. I'm not sure if this Dunkin' Donuts one is just going to be seasonal or what, but I mean, people go to local coffee shops and they always have the pumpkin flavor and you can add to it. Right. So the country loves pumpkin. I think it's good that there are as many pumpkin things as there can be.
Yeah, we love the pumpkin. We love fall. This reads to me a lot like what McDonald's does with a McRib.
Yeah.
It's just like a special occasion. Comes out, everybody's like, whoa, let's go to
Hold
McDonald's.
it back for some time.
Yeah, exactly. And then to come out with it during the fall, or I guess even during the tail end of the summer now for that big revenue boost. But, I agree that I would like to get a pumpkin spice latte in January or February if possible as well.
Yeah.
Right? Why not? Okay, on to the main story today. Today, we're zeroing in on some interesting reports on how Chick-fil-A aims to grow their business within the fast food category and seemingly beyond that as well. So, Mark, first, can we talk about this semi-boom period for Chick-fil-A right now?
It's like an everlasting boom period, I would argue.
Continuous boom.
Yeah, Chick-fil-A just defies gravity in so many ways. I think that we see a lot of other fast food chains are dealing with a lot of complaints from consumers about high prices, and they're seeing flagging sales, et cetera. And Chick-fil-A is not completely immune to those types of things. But nevertheless, last year, I believe, standalone restaurant sales were on average around $9 million. Compare that to McDonald's, which is closer to $4 million. And as you were mentioning, of course, earlier in the intro, the 2023 income was around $21 billion. That's just an awful lot of money for any company to be making.
Yeah, it really is. And when you think about past stories that we've covered here about, for example, McDonald's sales not doing too hot lately, even though they've been introducing like value meals and meal deals. And then you have yum brands like KFC, Taco Bell, Pizza Hut that aren't doing too hot either. It's such an odd duck, or I guess chicken, in the landscape, and how it just continues to get those customers, get that revenue despite any sort of pricing issues.
Yeah. And John, I want to point out that I think it's amazing. Every time I end up talking with you on this podcast, I almost feel like it always comes back to fast food. Yeah. We've talked about all of these before, and I'm glad we're now getting to talk about Chick-fil-A.
Me too. It's kind of our thing now. I like it.
This kind of like goes beyond the numbers here a little bit. Chick-fil-A, whenever I talk to like people who don't appreciate fast food all that much, or who have kids and they're like leery of taking them to McDonald's, which, I don't necessarily understand, but I don't have kids yet, but they'll take them to Chick-fil-A. It's the place that people always want to go to. Like they don't lump it into the same category as McDonald's for whatever reason, I think.
Right. It's its own kind of separate entity. And it seems like they have started to expand their model like other fast food companies have tried to in the drive-thru capacity, it looks like.
Yeah, they're trying to separate themselves sort of from the competition here. The big news is that yesterday in Atlanta, they opened an elevated drive-thru. It's not as cool as you would think. You don't get to drive your car to like a second or a third store, which is what I was hoping for. Like that they'd be planning for like the days of the futuristic flying car, like in The Fifth Element or something like that. But the workers will be on the second story, and they'll have this amazing kind of conveyor belt system that'll zip the order from the second story down to the first story, where there will be 4 lanes rather than 2, as we've seen it at a lot of Chick-fil-A restaurants right now. And it's supposed to just take 6 seconds.
Yeah, it's incredibly fast and it's incredibly efficient. And this is a model that has been being looked at by a couple other fast food chains as well. We actually just put a video out on the Hustle's YouTube channel about super drive-thrus and this new kind of big thing, that multi-lane up to 4 to 5 lanes. And Chick-fil-A has really decided to do that. I mean, I already thought when I go to a Chick-fil-A that the service is very fast, almost too fast sometimes. And I get a little concerned. But this seems to be that next level. And if you do see the picture of it, it really just looks like a building that doesn't have a first floor, that is on a bit of a stilts and has that second floor of kitchen and then pumping out fast food to the first.
Yeah, it's like a beach house where they don't want the waves to come hit it, more or less.
Exactly. Like the indoor-outdoor concept Bali Villa or something, Yeah, and, the design is a bit new. It seems a bit faster. That seems like a no-brainer as a way to expand the Chick-fil-A business, right? But there is something else that you brought to my attention earlier today, Mark, and that is that Chick-fil-A is also interested to enter the entertainment market.
Yeah, so Deadline had the goods on this story, which is that Chick-fil-A is going to use some of their billions to start, you've heard this one before, guys, creating content. They are going to start their own streaming network, and they're going to have shows that are likely going to be reality-based. There's supposedly already going to be a family-friendly game show from Glassman Media, which has made NBC's The Wall. And we're talking some real production here. Episodes that could be in the range of $400,000 per half hour. So, this is a thing that a lot of people have been making fun of on the internet, needless to say. And, I potentially rightfully. I mean, everybody knows that the streaming economics are very difficult economics.
Yes, they are, and already very saturated as it is, let alone another one from Chick-fil-A. Presumably, we'd have a Chick-fil-A Plus, Chick-fil-A Max, or Chick-fil-A Crisp, my favorite option of the bunch. But what's happening here is also very interesting in that they're creating original content, but also in the market to buy content as well, exclusive rights to content to host on this platform. There's really no word onto an exact date on when this is coming out, though it is presumed later this year. But we'll just have to see what they decide to do and also what the price would be for a service like this as well.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I can't imagine that it would have some of the same prices we see out of like Netflix. I would have to think it would be one of the lower priced ones, similar to like Peacock or Paramount Plus or something like that. One sort of thing to note here that Axios pointed out in their report about this is that there's sort of one way that this makes a lot of sense for Chick-fil-A, which is that one of the chairmen for Chick-fil-A, Dan Cathy, he is a majority owner of Trilith Studios, which is a production company in Georgia. So they produce things. So it kind of gives them more business if Chick-fil-A is doing this. Like there is some like sort of cohesion going on there. I think though, what this really reminds me a lot of is when you hear something like from a few years ago when AT&T decided to buy Time Warner. You'd think of just this big corporation that has nothing to do with entertainment is deciding to get into entertainment. And it's very difficult, for one thing, to make good stuff. And it's even more difficult to make money off of it, which is what everybody has been finding out through these streaming networks. It's just hilarious to me that someone like NBC Universal has kind of reoriented everything it does to switch to streaming. They went from an extremely profitable model and then just decided, well, let's just forget that. And certainly there were headwinds they were up against, but they're like, let's forget that. Let's do streaming. And they're finding it utterly miserable.
Oh, yeah.
They're just losing so much money. And now Chick-fil-A is voluntarily being like, let's go do that, even though we make chicken. So
yeah, I do not envy this uphill battle that they're going to be in, definitely. I also want to point out that you and I, when we are on here, we do talk about fast food, but we also talk about streaming a lot. So this seems to be like a perfect intersection of both of our biggest interests. So I'm excited to update only us, you and I, with this story going forward.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what happens next, like what the next streaming fast food thing is going to be. So
yeah, will other fast food markets get it to that? Who knows? Is McDonald's going to start a streaming service? Is Burger King going to?
Yeah.
I doubt it, but we'll see how the Chick-fil-A case study turns out.
Definitely.
All right, and that's going to do it for us today. Thanks for tuning into the Hustle Daily Show. We're a proud part of the HubSpot Podcast Network. Our editor today is Robert Hartwig, and our executive producer is Darren Clark. We've got a lot more tech and business coverage in our newsletter. If you're not subscribed, go get yourself signed up at thehustle.co/email and throw us a follow on The Hustle on Instagram. We'll see you tomorrow, everybody. Hey, everybody. I've been listening to this awesome podcast lately called Entrepreneurs on Fire. It's hosted by John Lee Dumas, and it's available right now on the HubSpot Podcast Network. Entrepreneurs on Fire stokes inspiration and shares strategies to fire up your entrepreneurial journey and create the life that you've always dreamed of. It offers lots of energy, value, consistency, and it's for anybody who wants to learn more about entrepreneurship. It's super fast-paced and packed with valuable stories about entrepreneurs, their aha moments, their failures, and everything to what's working for them today. Recently, he had on this guest, Ashley Stahl, who talked all about her job at the Pentagon and how she evolved into becoming a top 100 TEDx speaker. She talks about evolving your brand from the ground up, leaning into the skills that you already have to build your brand, and also creating virality. It's a great listen. You should check it out. And you can listen to Entrepreneurs on Fire wherever you get your podcasts.